Oh, there we go. Finally, this is my Contax T2, and as you've seen, it has its issues. But before I talk to you a little bit about the issues that I have with this particular version of the camera, let me talk to you about why I decided to spend $600 on this camera knowing that it had these issues. This Contax T2 has a lot of features that a lot of point and shoot cameras don't have. It has a Carl Zeiss 38mm 2.8 lens. And this lens is one of the sharpest lenses I've ever seen on any point and shoot camera. That lens is probably the main reason why this camera is so expensive. On top of the lens, it also has a couple of features that not too many point and shoot cameras have, including exposure compensation, the ability to use manual focus, and also the ability to set the aperture settings, and also has flash as well as fill, flash mode, autofocus, timer. It has a nice little pad. It also has a nice titanium body as well as a nice grip. It feels good to hold in the hand. Also, when looking at the viewfinder, you do have electronic reading. Overall, it's just a nice, beautiful camera to hold in the hand. But let me talk to you a little bit about this version that I have in my hand. Now, going into buying this camera, I knew it had some issues. First of all, when you try to turn it on, the lens doesn't come out completely. As you can see, it just sticks. If I close it, it still works, but to open it, I have to turn it upside down like this. Sorry. It takes a little bit. Oh, there we go. The camera needs to be turned upside down to open. Now, I knew going into buying this camera that this camera had this particular issue. The person that I bought it from told me, hey, in order to open up this camera, you have to turn it upside down. And I'm like, should I still buy this camera knowing that it has this issue? Contax cameras and these electronic point and shoot cameras are known for having issues after being used for a certain amount of time. There are some places that fix them, but fixing them costs time and money. But I've always wanted to have a Contax T2. And now I'm not one to join the hype train. And the hype for this camera has been going on for a very long time, ever since some celebrities and YouTubers decided to make some videos about it. But I've always seen the quality that came from this point and shoot camera, and I've always wanted to try it out. Now, I knew that $600 definitely, I don't have that kind of money to waste, right? I don't have that money just sitting around to spend. I knew that if I spent this money, number one, maybe I'd be getting myself a good camera that only had one issue. And also, if anything was wrong with the camera, I could always sell it for parts and recoup some of the cost, or I could just sell it for the same price that I got it for, and maybe somebody else would be interested in picking this up. So it wasn't like I was going to be losing everything going into this camera. Parts for this camera still cost a lot of money. Somebody somewhere will still be willing to pay money to get this camera in the current condition that I got it for. So after I picked up this camera, as I said, the person that I bought it from only told me that there was the issue with the lens coming out. So I'm like, you know what? $600, I can still resell it. I can still use it. Why not? I picked it up. I put a couple rolls through it. And here are the pictures that I got from the first 2 rolls that I put in this camera. As I was looking at the images, I noticed that a lot of them were out of focus. Now, in the first 2 rolls, I only got about 10 shots that were in focus. Now, it seems like whatever issues that the lens has is messing with the autofocus, or is messing with the focus plane of the lens, and as it's hitting the film, which is causing everything to be out of focus. Sometimes the back is in focus and the front is not in focus. Sometimes it's in focus. Sometimes everything is out of focus. So it seems like whatever issues that the lens has is messing with the lens plane. After taking a look at these first 2 rolls, I was very, very disappointed, and I'm thinking to myself, not only have I wasted my time, not only have I wasted these rolls, I wasted my money, and I've wasted, it just wasn't a good feeling, wasn't a good experience using this camera for the first 2 rolls. Then I thought to myself, you know what? let me just put this camera down, let me try to sell it. But as I was looking, doing some research, trying to see what I could do with this camera, I then remembered that this camera does have manual focus functions, which means that I could actually manually focus this camera and use it in different ways. Now that's not necessarily ideal because for a point and shoot camera, you want to turn it on, point and shoot. Now, those two things I can't necessarily do with this camera anymore because I can't just turn it on because the lens wouldn't come out. That's the first problem. The second problem, the autofocus doesn't work. So it defeats the purpose of having a point and shoot camera if you can't just turn it on, point it and shoot it. I have to turn it on in a very specific way. I have to look through the camera and make sure that I'm manually focusing. I don't have any problem with manual focusing because I do use a Leica M2, which is a rangefinder system, which is pretty similar to what this is. I don't have a problem using manual focus, but I wanted this point and shoot camera because I wanted to point it and shoot it, right? So the fact that I can't do that is just a little bit annoying. And I've shot a couple of rolls. I'm gonna put some images up on the screen now. I've shot a couple of rolls using the manual focus. And manual focus, I do get everything in focus 90% of the time. I found that shooting at f8, f11, f16, I do get everything in focus, but sometimes when I'm shooting at 5.6, 4, or 2.8, sometimes things are not in focus. Again, I feel like that has to do with whatever is wrong with the lens retraction system is messing with the focus plane and therefore messing with the distance markings on the camera, which means the things that are supposed to be in focus are not in focus, things that's out of focus are in focus. So I have to send this camera off to fix. Now, the main reason I got this camera for the price I got it for is because, again, I don't have the kind of money to spend on getting a brand new or a good condition Contax T2. So I thought no matter what the issues are, I could look beyond them and still be able to use the camera, which I can do. But again, it's basically like using a manual focus camera. And I do have a Leica M2 for that. I wanted something that could be a good point and shoot camera. That's why I decided to buy this. I have reached out to different places that do fix these type of cameras. There's one place called Nippon Photo Clinic in the US. They quoted me at $600 plus shipping costs. There's also a place called Photo Service in Poland. They quoted me at 350 euros plus shipping costs. Regardless of which one I decide to go with, it's gonna cost me about $500 to $600 Canadian to get this fixed, plus the money I paid for this camera, plus the rolls I put through this camera. It would have been cheaper for me to just have bought a good condition Contax T2. The Contax T2 was a camera that I always wanted. This experience hasn't put me off on picking one up in the future at some point. But for now, I am going to be selling this camera. I am not going to be selling it off to fix. Maybe if I do get some money, maybe I will. I'm already put it up for sale as of right now. If the camera sells, it sells. If you know what I can do to be able to possibly fix it myself, let me know in the comment section down below. If not, this camera is going to be going off to someone else and they're going to be trying to fix it themselves. Let me know in the comment section down below if you've ever had such an experience with any camera, whether it be point and shoot, whether it be manual, whether it be any sort of film camera that has given you, that you got for a good deal and just ended up not working for you. Until next time, make sure you stay safe, make sure you shoot film, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.